All right, welcome to another episode of Market Shares. I'm your host, Tony Blodgett, and today I have one of our loan officers, one of my good friends, our sales manager here at the Everett branch, Andrew Stiger. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I'm excited to jump into this. We've been talking for a little while about getting together, and I just think that there is a lot of loan officers who are pretty new in the industry. And when I think about interviewing you and the success that you've had in a fairly short period of time, I really think of there's got to be some people out there who are struggling to kind of figure this whole thing out. And I think you might be able to help them. So I'm going to start a little bit by just, going over kind of your, not necessarily your childhood, but, just kind of your early adult life. You went to college. Kind of let's talk through kind of what brought you up to the point of deciding to get into the mortgage industry. Because I have to imagine, like most of us, you didn't plan on being in the mortgage business when you were in high school or when you were going to college and planning your future, right?
Right, yeah. We won't go all the way back to childhood.
Let's not go all the way back.
No. I don't think there was any idea of getting into the mortgage business. For that matter, I don't really think anyone thinks they're going to get into the mortgage business. They just kind of happen upon it, right?
Except me. But that's
I was going to say,
story.
Tony Blodgett, maybe at 12 years old, was thinking that path, but different influences. Yeah, for me, you had mentioned I went to college, like many people my age group that were, tread lightly there, but maybe misled into doing that as the only option for a career path. And so when I got to college, I was just trying to figure out what I liked, and I kind of went the path of, I like business, economics, finance, and, studied finance, studied accounting. And it was funny, we hear about the 2008 crash from guys like you all the time. I was in, money and banking classes learning about this, not really knowing the actual effect of it on guys in the real world, and going, I don't really get this. And it wasn't until I had to get out and try to find a job of my own that I realized the repercussions of what was going on a few years earlier. So, I got out of college 2011, 12, probably one of the worst job markets.
It wasn't great.
It wasn't great, yeah, from what I hear in, those interview rooms with, 20, 30 people that had recently gotten laid off in the last previous years to that. It was tough. I had an accounting background as well, was interviewing with some CPA firms, and it wasn't going well. So I took what I could. I actually took a job as a teller at a local bank, and it was what I could get my foot in the door and kind of move towards that career that I kind of always envisioned, studying finance, money, banking. And it did interest me. I think that path was always something even though I set out early and didn't really know what I was doing, money, banking, finance did interest me. But, as a teller, I got to say, that was one of the toughest jobs I've ever had.
Yeah.
To this day.
Well, I know a few people in mortgage that started as tellers at banks. And so what was it? Was it, were you referring clients over to the loan person in your branch, and all of a sudden you're like, hey, maybe I should do that? Or what made the transition from teller to loan officer?
To be honest, I got kind of at the same time I was fired and promoted. I was terrible at counting money and balancing my till. I was always off like $50 or something like that. But I was really good at talking with clients, right? I think I had record numbers of referrals for credit card openings, new bank accounts, business relationships. I found my strength was just relating to people face to face. And so, again, they kind of told me you're really bad at this position, but you're good at sitting down with people, and I think you have an opportunity there. So I worked into like personal banking positions, opening up basic checking accounts, doing car loans, boat loans, did a few motorcycle loans, which was, kind of fun. Met some interesting people back then. And, as I built relationships with people, they, even at a big national bank where most people come in just to, cash their check and get in and out of there, I had a lot of following, and people started coming in to sit down with me, ask me more personal questions, ask me for advice. And, one thing led to another. We were doing a lot of refinances back then, kind of the 14, 15, 16 years.
Yep.
People were just coming out from under on their home equity, heard a lot of, horror stories. And it was cool, though, because doing the refinances, and these were modified refinances, so different than what we do now. We were really saving a ton of people. I mean, they were finally getting to that point where life was good again after the crash, that I had only heard about at the time. And we put a lot of people in much better positions financially. And I think that's where I realized I really like this. I'm getting good at it. And, one thing led to another. And I think it was when interest rates started going up, kind of hitting home again now with what we're seeing. I saw the refinance business totally dry up, and that's where a lot of the money was being made in my role. And I thought, gosh, I gotta keep doing what I like, but I need to shift a little bit. And that's when I took a job as a purchase mortgage advisor at U.S. Bank. Got recruited by you and Dave Gardner, and the rest is history.
Best thing that ever happened to you.
Absolutely. Other than marrying my wife and my 2 kids being born. So
yeah, okay. Yeah. Well, the fourth or fifth.
Number three, I will say, is meeting you and Dave.
I'll take it. I'll take it. Well, okay. Well, let's talk about that. So, working in a bank environment versus working at an independent mortgage company. I mean, obvious difference is that people aren't walking into the branch every day like they might at a bank to get a loan. But what other differences did you feel? This isn't a conversation about what's better or worse, but from your just personal experience, what was the difference for you working at a bank versus when you came into this environment?
Yeah, great question. I mean, obviously, I'd love if people just walked in here every day, but that's not the case. We're very niche, right? We don't have checking accounts, car loans. We don't have all these other sources where we would talk to these people for that reason. At the bank, it was very transactional, though. We were, because we had so much to choose from, you didn't have to really build the relationship up front with people. You always knew another deal was walking in the door the next day, so a little less pressure to perform. With that too, it's a big organization, and things were not just at the sales side of things, but operationally, there wasn't that client touch that we have here, where everyone knows their paycheck is riding on doing best by these clients and making sure we get them from pre-approval to close without any hiccups. And nowadays, not to bash on the banks, but we are, because of that reason, obtaining a lot of the cleanup work. We're the ones they turn to after that doesn't go so well. So, and that was happening to me. I mean, I think when Dave reached out to me, introduced me to you, I still wasn't decided. That was a big leap for me to take, and kind of nerve-wracking, going full commission at the time. I really hesitated. I think it took about 1.5 years to make the decision, but I was finding myself referring deals I couldn't do to Dave, and he finally said, "Hey, why don't you come over here and do your own business?" And I think that's when we finally made the switch. So
yeah, I think banks have really gone the route of really vanilla type financing, and really, from what I see, not even doing a lot of government loans, FHA, more of the
they stay in their lane.
Stuff. Yeah,
which is fine. And I mean, there's a lot of land loans, construction loans. I have a lot of friends still in the banking world that I refer to, but yeah, no, it's just, as far as an overall better experience for me and my clients, it was the right move, and I'm happy I did it.
So how long has it been now since you've been out of the banking and in independent mortgage banking?
Yeah, this August will be 4 years.
4 years
here at New American.
Okay, perfect. It's been a great 4 years. I'd love to see just your growth, and we're going to talk a little about coaching and some of the stuff that we've done together. But just right off the bat, is there anything that now, 4 years later, that you wish you would have known when you first made the transition? And then we could apply that to going all the way back, but let's just think about it from the standpoint of you came here, it's 100% commission, you're on your own, it's all self-sourced, right. No one's walking in the door. What do you know now that you wish you knew then that might have helped you even go faster with your growth and development in this industry?
Yeah. This is a really hard one to understand. And I don't think you can tell a new loan officer this without them actually learning it the hard way. But investing more time in, like what Dan Keller will talk about all the time, your VIP clients, those that refer you, those that you know more about, they know more about you. You can pick up the phone and have an easy, non-scripted conversation with. I wish I had tried not to just get every single deal. Now, again, coming in here in 2018 was not easy. I went from a nice little salary with a commission on top to straight salary, and I come in here and
straight commission. You mean?
Yeah, sorry, straight commission. And some of our top producers are doing one deal a month, and I'm going, this ain't gonna work. So I was scraping and clawing for every deal I could, and yeah, looking back, even at that time, it wasn't worth it, and I wish I had a more focused approach. Definitely.
Yeah, 2018 was a tough year. Matter of fact, it's reminiscent of what we're headed into right now.
Very much so.
Rates were up, and as a result, and this is going to be interesting to see what happens, but as a result of rates going up, the feds were hiking, and it actually did slow down purchases quite a bit. There's a lot of talk right now of, is the increased interest rate environment that we're in today going to have that same impact on housing? And I don't know that it's a very straightforward answer. There's so much demand right now. The demographics just really don't lie. There's not enough homes available for the amount of households that want to buy homes. Definitely some people have been kind of pushed out of the market because of the higher interest rates. But that just means more renters, and that means the rent's going to go up, and so it's not really going to be cheaper to rent. So I don't know. I personally do not think we see a big slowdown in housing, but we did in 2018, and with refinances, they were slow trickle at that point, but they really just got completely shut off, and then the purchases slowed down. So we'll see what happens now. So what I noticed in working with you over the last couple of years is, first of all, congratulations for having the confidence in yourself, and really the willingness to make a big risky move. I mean, you're married, you got, own a home. I mean, these are difficult things to head into a 100% commission job with what you had going on in life at the time. But I bet you look back now and said, thank God I did that when I did. So congrats to you for having the wherewithal to do that. But where I've really seen a big change in you is you're a person who wants to do better. You want to learn, and you want to be coached. And, a few years ago, we connected, and I said, hey, look, man, we can set up some coaching sessions. And, I can't teach you everything there is to know, because I haven't originated a loan for many years, but there's definitely some fundamentals that, got me through my origination career that I think haven't changed, and bread and butter. So let's talk about kind of that first entry into coaching. Then I want to talk about where you're at now, and then what you're doing moving forward. So talk to me about kind of, coaching and what it did for you, and how it helped you kind of move to the next level with your business.
Number one, confidence. I think, it was funny. I was actually just listening to some coaching calls that you and I had from like 2 or 3 years ago. I used to record them.
Right.
And a lot of those topics are, kind of coming back up a little bit now.
Weird how that works.
Yeah, it is funny. And I just, things are cyclical, and the pendulum swings back in the opposite direction all the time. But yeah, it was funny because I was, I won't get into specifics on the coaching call, but I noticed there was these topics that I was asking you about. I wasn't confident in myself in certain aspects, and I was really just trying to follow the lead of people like yourself that have set the example and set the tone for what, not even just what a top producer should be, but I think what every mortgage professional should hold themselves to, the standards they should hold themselves to.
Right.
When clients are, expecting the decisions they make and their livelihood that they have in their futures going forward, kind of depending on the decisions that we help them make. And And I think early on there just wasn't that confidence, and a lot of it, and this is a Todd Duncan thing, shout out to Todd and my coach Bill, but it's a confidence thing. And when you're not confident, you don't have the type of success. But prior to that, you have to be competent. So competence equals confidence, confidence equals success. And I was trying to really fake it till I made it right early on, but I wasn't educating myself enough. And I think coaching it's allowed me to kind of go, okay, slow down, enjoy the process. I'm not good yet. I'm not a great advisor, but I'm surrounded by a ton of people that are. I need to lean on them, right? And I think reaching out to you was like, I kind of started to realize who Tony Blodgett was in the market. Other people said, "Oh, you work for him? Wow, I've known him for years." And I thought, geez, I gotta leverage that a little bit more. And so, yeah, you and I, had a good year and a half, 2 years of weekly conversations, just kind of checking in on mindset. And then I told you, just a few months ago that I think I'm ready for kind of a higher level of accountability. So I hired a professional coach, and that's, again, it's the same thing, different level, just kind of following the lead of somebody who's been where you've been, proven themselves with certain systems and ways of approaching this business. And, that confidence level has really gone, a lot higher than it was in those early days. And it, again, the numbers don't lie. It's been a rough couple months, but mostly for all of us anyway. My clients are I think trusting me more, and that's leading to helping more families get into homes and helping more families save even more money.
Yeah. Well, I love your story, because I think that anyone who's in the mortgage business, who's newer, or even if you're not new, but you're struggling, you have to be at a place where you can plug into a mentor, or you have to have a sales manager or a branch manager or someone who's willing to come alongside you and give you the advice, because you can know in your head what you're supposed to do, and this is what Andrew's talking about, but until someone kind of reinforces it for you or helps you understand why it is the way that it is, that's what gives you the confidence to go out and make it happen, and the confidence to trust the process. You're like, I know that if I do this, these are going to be the results as long as I focus on that. And you were a great student. I think for anyone who's spending time coaching someone, I mean, look, you're taking your time out to pour into someone else, and nothing worse than them not, taking notes. You were like, can I record these? I'm going to listen to them again. I really want to get something from it. And so for those of you that are out there struggling with this transition in the market, I ask you, who do you have to lean on? Hiring a professional coach, I think, is a good, it's not a great first step, though, in my opinion. I think you got to be around a branch or an environment or some sort of leadership team that can really help you understand how it should work. And then once you get kind of this baseline understanding, I love how you said that, like, it's not just like the way a top producer acts, it's how, like, how do professional mortgage advisors conduct themselves? Like, you got to understand that, and that's going to come from mentorship. And so if you don't have that, you need to seek that out first, and then get a baseline, and then think about doing professional coaching from there. And, Andrew, like I said, I love that you were so disciplined in your approach, but it definitely came through. So now you've taken on a sales manager role. So in our branch here in Everett, you've kind of raised your hand and said, hey, I want to, I've learned a lot from mentorship. It's meant a lot to my business. It's only been 4 years, but also see the opportunity with some of the newer loan officers we have in the branch to say, hey, I think I've learned some things that I can now share. And so maybe talk about your thoughts around, why did you want to get into more of a leadership role? I think that most people that move into that role also become better themselves, because you definitely want to be a role model when you're coaching and mentoring other people. So let's just talk about that really quick as we kind of bring this conversation to a close.
Yeah, no, there was some hesitancy there, right? I mean, you and I had a lot of conversations on, does it make sense to jump into that type of a role while I'm, brand new to trying to build a certain type of business. And it's a lot of work on both sides. I mean, that's, I think, the biggest struggle, but I'm always trying to see, okay, what's the good in this? What can I take out of this that will just sharpen my sword even more? And I think what I came to realize was that exactly what you just said. I used to coach sports when I was in college and stuff. I'd go back to my high school and I'd help out, and I in certain classes I tutored kids younger than I did, and I always realized when I was kind of preaching in a way, you conduct yourself a little bit differently. There's a little bit more pressure to be more precise, more on the spot, and accurate with your words. We're reading the 4 agreements, right? You kind of force yourself to be more impeccable with that word. And, I'll say I didn't read that book until like last week. So it was kind of all coming full circle for me. But I think when you're doing that, you're kind of stepping back and reassessing how you do things. And, I'll relate this to being a father. I think every day I look at my actions and my words, and I know my kids are watching me, and I have to step back just for a second. I kind of think before I speak a lot more than I ever did, right? I used to just shoot from the hip. And now in a leadership position and as a father, I definitely try to just set a better example, and in doing so, I definitely sharpen my sword even more and make myself more of a professional. So that's what I've gotten out of it, and I think again, I'm trying to take more of a group leadership focus, where we just, like, our sales meetings are all about highlighting the great things that other people are doing and using that as an example. I don't think you need to have one leader. I think it's more just everybody kind of coming together and feeding off of each other and their successes. And I think that's what really has brought in this office together a little bit more. And our sales meetings, they were, especially during COVID, a little more optional. People are driving across the mountains now, to make sure that they're here on Wednesday to be here. So it's pretty neat to see everybody kind of having that same mentality and buying into it.
Yeah.
It's helped me a lot. I was I was a little nervous about taking that role, but the team's made it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Really happy.
Well, I'm glad you did, because, I could see that it was, kind of needed. And I could also see just in your personality that I knew that you're the kind of person who is kind of driven by responsibility, and by having that, I knew that you would, really step into that role, and you have. And so I'm super proud of you for doing that. I think that, we interview a lot of people that are doing, hundreds of millions of dollars, or you're watching interviews on Mortgage Coach or whatever. And, I wanted to do this interview with you because I think that there's a lot of people who could benefit just from, the path that you've been on in the last 4 years. You started, with a role in banking, and then got a little introduction to loan modifications and whatnot. But, what you've done in the last 4 years, from, stepping in here and really having not a lot going on for yourself, but, plugging into a good environment, being coachable, having a desire to learn and grow, show up every day, ask questions, take notes, be disciplined, but not, look, sales is hard. I know there's times where we're like, you need to make this many prospecting calls. You're like, okay, I'm going to do it. Then I'm like, did you do it? You're like, no, I didn't do it. I need to do better at that. But that's normal, right? That's the normal person. But you keep fighting at it, and you show up every day, and you read the content, you watch the videos. You've adopted Mortgage Coach into your business, which I think is huge and a differentiator. If you haven't done that, you should do that. But I think that you've taken a career path so far in just the few short years you've been doing it that I think is respectable, and I think a lot of people would like to model. So I appreciate you taking the time today. It's not the most exciting conversation, but I guarantee you there's people that are going to listen to this and go, you know what, that's a path that I want for my career, and you're a great model for that. So I'm super proud of you and what you've accomplished, and I'm excited to see the rest of your career. I have no doubt we're going to be having a conversation with you about how'd you get from here to your $100 million production and grow your team.
Mark his words. It's said right here. We'll look back at this hopefully one day.
We absolutely. Yeah. Well, we'll cut a clip in. Renee will cut a clip in for us. All right, guys. Well, thanks for taking the time to watch this episode. Look, we do different things here on Market Shares. We talk about what's going on in the market. We talk about what's going on with rates and the Fed. There's going to be more updates on that to come. But also, we're going to be interviewing loan officers, top producers, people that are just getting started, people that have been on unique and different journeys. Because I want to highlight each individual because there's someone out there who's going to relate to every loan officer that we have interviewed on this podcast. So thanks for taking the time to watch Market Shares today. Please subscribe. I'd like to grow that number as big as possible. And if you know somebody who is a newer loan officer who you think would benefit from this conversation, please share this with them and let them know about this thing that we're doing. We'll call it a podcast. It's not necessarily a podcast.
Heck yeah, it's a podcast.
Some days it's a podcast. Some days it's a 3-minute video. But I'm having fun doing it, and I hope that you're enjoying watching. Thank you so much, and we'll see you on the next episode. Take care. Andrew Stiger, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Tony. See you guys.
See you guys.